Chapter 1, Crop Production and Management. Paheli and Bhujo went to their uncle's house during the summer vacation. Their uncle is a farmer. One day they saw some tools like khurpi, sickle, shovel, plow, etc. in the field. Now Bhujo says, I want to know where and how we use these tools. So you have learned that all living organisms require food. All living organisms means plants and animals. Okay. So plants can make their food themselves by the process of photosynthesis, if you remember. So where they use sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, then chlorophyll and water, and then it makes its food, and in this process it releases oxygen, if you remember, right? Now, can you recall how green plants synthesize their own food? So green plants synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. We have just discussed this. That animals, including humans, cannot make their own food. So now where do these animals get food from? Okay, so let us know. But first of all, why do we eat food? Now why it is necessary to eat food, right? So you already know that energy from the food is utilized by organisms for carrying out the various body functions such as digestion, respiration and excretion. Now food gives us energy. It helps in us perform our various life processes, okay? Then it is used by organisms for carrying out various body functions such as digestion, respiration and excretion. If we will not eat food, the digestion process will not happen, and that is a very necessary thing for a body to function. Okay, so we get our food from plants or animals or both. Now since we all need food, how can we provide food to a larger number of people in our country? So role this role is played by the farmers of our country. Okay, so food has to be produced on a large scale because there is so much of population in a country. So food has to be produced on a large scale. So in order to provide food for a large population, regular production, proper management and distribution is also necessary. See, if you will sow the food, if you will grow the food, and regular production will be there, proper management also will be there, like storage and transport will be there. But if it's not transported properly, it's not distributed, it is left as it is in the storage factories, or it's left as it is in the fields, the people will not get. So there is no purpose of growing the food, right? There is no purpose of regular production. Now let us know about agricultural practices. Now for that, let us know what agriculture is. So this is the definition here. Till 10,000 BCE, people were nomadic. Who are nomadic people? People who wander from one place to another in search of food and shelter. So they were wandering in groups from place to place in search of food and shelter. They ate raw fruits and vegetables and started hunting animals for food. So earlier, when fire was not discovered, people used to eat raw fruits and vegetables. And they started hunting animals also for food. Later they could cultivate land and produce rice, wheat and other crops. Later they came to know about wheat, rice and other food crops, how to grow them. So thus was born agriculture. Okay. Now when plants of the same kind are cultivated at one place on a large scale, it is called a crop on a large scale. See, if you grow some plant in your garden, in your balcony, that is not a crop, that is a plant. Okay. So crop is that kind of plant which is grown on a large scale, okay, for larger population. For example, crop of wheat means that all plants grown in a field are of wheat. Now you already know that crops are of different types like cereals, vegetables and fruits. These can be classified on the basis of the season in which they grow, okay. Every crop should not be grown in every season. There are particular seasons for particular type of crops. Now India is a vast country. The climatic conditions like temperature, humidity and rainfall vary from one region to another. Accordingly, there is a rich variety of crops grown in different parts of the country. Despite this diversity, two broad cropping patterns can be identified, and also every kind of crop cannot be grown in every kind of state or city. Okay, so let us know what the main two broad categories are. So first is kharif crops. The crops which are sown in the rainy season are called kharif crops in the rainy season. Okay, so the rainy season in India is generally from June to September. So the crops grown during this time are known as kharif crops. Example: paddy, maize, soya bean, groundnut and cotton. Okay, then what are rabi crops? The crops grown in the winter season, October to March, are called rabi crops. Example of rabi crops are wheat, gram, pea, mustard, and linseed. Besides these, pulses and vegetables are grown during summer at many places. Okay, so pulses and vegetables are also grown during summer at many places. Now, basic practices of crop production. Why paddy cannot be grown in the winter season? Paddy crop requires a lot of water. Okay, so it requires lot of moisture. Therefore, it is grown only in the rainy season, where naturally we are getting rain from the clouds. Okay. Now, cultivation of crop involves several activities undertaken by farmers over a period of time. So, every step is performed one after another over a period of time. You may find that these activities are similar to those carried out by a gardener or even by you when you grow ornamental plants in your house. These activities or tasks are referred to as agricultural practices, which are listed below. Okay, so these are the steps. Preparation of soil, first step, then sowing, then adding manure and fertilizers, then irrigation, then protecting from the weeds, then harvesting, and then storage. Okay, and these steps are specific. The sequence cannot be changed. Okay. Now the first step, preparation of soil. The preparation of soil is the first step before growing your crop. You have to prepare your soil first. Now one of the most important tasks in agriculture is to turn the soil and loosen it. This allows the roots to penetrate deep into the soil. The loose soil allows the roots to breathe easily, even when they go deep into the soil. So the question now arises, why does the loosening of soil allow the roots to breathe easily? Because the loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. These organisms are friends of the farmer since they further turn and loosen the soil and add humus to it. Okay. So why does the loosening of soil allow the roots to breathe easily? Because it gives a space for the roots to get better air, get better oxygen from the air and grow properly. Okay. And also the loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. These organisms are friends of the farmers because they further turn and loosen the soil and add humus to it. And humus always enriches the fertility of the soil. Okay. But why the soil needs to be turned and loosened? Now you have learned in the previous classes that soil contains minerals, water, air, and some living organisms. In addition, dead plants and animals get decomposed by soil organisms. In this way, various nutrients in the dead organisms are released back into the soil. These nutrients are again absorbed by plants. Okay. So now the above question, why the soil needs to be turned and loosened. Now, since only a few centimeters of top layer of soil supports plant growth, so turning and loosening of soil brings a nutrient-rich soil to the top so that plants can use these nutrients. So this is the main benefit of turning and loosening the soil, that the nutrient-rich soil which already has nutrients from the dead organisms which are already released back into the soil, these nutrients will come to the top and the plants can use these nutrients for better growth. Okay. Thus, turning and loosening of soil is very important for cultivation of crops. Now the process of loosening and turning of the soil is called tilling or plowing. Okay, so this is the definition of tilling or plowing. The process of loosening and turning of the soil is called tilling or plowing. This is done by using a plow. Now plow is an agricultural implement, a tool. Plows are made of wood or iron. If the soil is very dry, it may need watering before plowing. The plowed field may have big clumps of soil called crumbs. It is necessary to break these crumbs. Then leveling the field is beneficial for sowing as well as irrigation. Leveling of the soil is done with the help of a leveler. Okay. Now sometimes manure is also added to the soil before tilling. This helps in proper mixing of manure with the soil. The soil is moistened before sowing. Now before sowing, the soil is very necessary to be moistened. Okay. So they are saying once you will break these crumbs, then leveling the field is very beneficial for sowing as well as for irrigation. Okay, and leveling is done with the help of leveler. Then after leveling, manure is added to the soil before tilling. This helps in proper mixing of manure with the soil. Okay. If you will do this beforehand, the manure and the soil will properly mix together. Now let's know our agricultural implements, what our farmers use. Now before sowing the seeds, it is necessary to break soil crumbs to get better yield. This is done with the help of various tools. Okay. Now the main tools used for this purpose are the plow, hoe and cultivator. Now what is a plow? This is being used since ancient times for tilling the soil, adding fertilizers to the crop, removing the weeds and turning the soil. This is made of wood and is drawn by a pair of bulls or other animals like horses and camels. It contains a strong triangular iron strip called plowshare. See here, you can see here this iron tip. This is plowshare. Okay, and this is joined by a plow shaft. Okay, so let us see. So it contains a strong triangular iron strip called plowshare, and the main part of the plow is a long log of wood which is called a plow shaft. See here, long log of wood which is called a plow shaft, and this is plowshare. Okay. Now there is a handle at one end of the shaft. The other end is attached to a beam which is placed on the bull's necks. One pair of bulls and a man can easily operate the plow, right? The indigenous wooden plow is increasingly being replaced by iron plows nowadays. Now the next implement, hoe. It is a simple tool which is used for removing weeds and for loosening the soil. It has a long rod of wood or iron. A strong, broad and bent plate of iron is fixed to one of its ends and works like a blade. It is pulled by animals. See, this is a hoe. Okay. A sharp, broad, bent iron strip is, see, a strong, broad and bent plate of iron is fixed to one of its ends. So this is the strong, sharp and bent iron strip. Okay, and this works like a blade. Then cultivator. Nowadays, plowing is done by tractor-driven cultivator. The uses of cultivators saves labor and time. This is a cultivator driven. This is a cultivator seed driven by a tractor. Now the second step, sowing. Sowing is an important part of crop production. Before sowing, good quality, clean and healthy seeds of a good variety are selected. Farmers prefer to use seeds which give high yield. Okay. Now one day, Paheli says, one day I saw my mother put some gram seeds in a vessel and pour some water on them. After a few minutes, some seeds started to float on top. I wonder why some of the seeds float on water. Now why these seeds float on water? See, and also you can perform this activity at home. Take a beaker and fill half of it with water. Put a handful of wheat seeds and stir. Well, you can also put any lentil seeds. Wait for some time. Are the seeds which float on water? Would those be lighter or heavier than those which sink? Why would they be lighter? Now why these seeds are floating on the top, or why these are lighter? Because these are damaged seeds and they become hollow from inside. That is why they float on the water. So damaged seeds which become hollow are thus lighter. Therefore they float on water. And the seeds which sink to the bottom, they are the healthy seeds. Okay. So this is a very good method for separating good healthy seeds from the damaged ones. Before sowing, one of the important tasks is to know about the tools used for sowing seeds. So let us know about the first tool, the traditional tool. The tool used traditionally for sowing seeds is shaped like a funnel. See here. This you can see. This is a funnel. It's shaped like a funnel. The seeds are filled into the funnel, passed through 2 or 3 pipes having sharp ends. These ends pierce into the soil and place seeds there. This is a traditional tool. Then the seed drill. This is a modern tool. Seed drill is a tractor-driven tool. Nowadays, seed drills, this is a seed drill, is used for sowing with the help of tractor. This sows the seeds uniformly at equal distance and depth. It ensures that seeds get covered by soil after sowing. Now, it is very important that seeds get covered with soil before sowing, because if the seeds are not covered, the birds will come and eat away the seeds. Okay, and there will be no crop then. So this will protect the seeds from being eaten by birds. Sowing by using a seed drill saves time and labor as well. See, now Bhujo is saying there is a nursery near my school. I found that little plants are kept in small bags. Why are they kept like this? So Paheli answer, seeds of a few plants such as paddy is rice, are first grown in a nursery. When they grow into seedlings, they are transplanted to the field manually. Some forest plants and flowering plants are also grown in the nursery. Now, appropriate distance between the seed is necessary to avoid overcrowding of plants. This allows the plants to get proper and sufficient sunlight, nutrients, and water from the soil. At times, a few plants may have to be removed to prevent overcrowding. Now, the next step, adding manure and fertilizer, the third step. The substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizers. So, this is the definition of manure and fertilizers. The substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for the healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizers. Now, Bhuja says, I saw a healthy crop growing in a farm. In the neighboring farm, the plants were weak. Why do some plants grow better than others? Now, as soil supplies mineral nutrients to the crop plants, these nutrients are essential for the growth of plants. In certain areas, farmers grow crop after crop in the same field. The field is never left uncultivated or fallow. Now, imagine what will happen to the nutrients. Now, if the crops are grown every year in the same field, the field will lose its fertility. Okay, so there will be no proper crop production there. So continuous cultivation of crops make the soil poor in nutrients. Okay, therefore farmers have to add manure to the fields to replenish the soil with nutrients. This process is called manuring. Improper or insufficient manuring results in weak plants. Okay, that is why Bhujo found weak plants in the other field. Okay. Now, manure, what is a manure? Manure is an organic substance obtained from the decomposition of plant or animal waste. Farmers dump plant and animal waste in pits at open places and allow it to decompose. The decomposition is caused by some microorganisms. The decomposed matter is used as organic manure. Okay. Now, this is activity 2. Take moong or gram seeds and germinate them. Select 3 equal size seedlings. Take 3 empty glasses or similar vessels, as shown here in this figure. Then mark them A, B and C respectively. To glass A, add little amount of soil mixed with a little cow dung manure. In glass B, put the same amount of soil mixed with a little urea. Urea is a fertilizer. Then take the same amount of soil in glass C without adding anything. Now pour the same amount of water in each glass and plant the seedlings in them. Keep them in a safe place and water them daily. After 7 to 10 days, observe their growth. What will happen? Did plants in all the glasses grow at the same pace? No. Which glass showed better growth of plants? In which glass was the growth fastest? Now, in which glass was the growth fastest? Obviously, in glass B, where you have added urea. Okay, so fertilizers, they increase the growth, and growth of plant will be in glass A as well, because we have added cow dung manure there. Okay, but better yield you will get in glass B, but in glass C there will be nothing, there will be no growth. Okay, because we haven't added, there will be or a very little growth, you can say. So in which glass growth will be fastest? In glass B, growth will be fastest. And which glass showed better growth of plants? So better growth was shown by B, and fastest was also by B. But B and A and B both showed growth of plants, because by adding manure and fertilizers we get a good yield. Now, what are fertilizers? Fertilizers are chemicals which are rich in a particular nutrient, okay, in a specific nutrient. How are they different from manure? Fertilizers are produced in factories. Some examples of fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, potash, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. The use of fertilizers has helped farmers to get better yield of crops such as wheat, paddy, and maize. But excessive use of fertilizers has made the soil less fertile. Fertilizers have also become a source of water pollution. Therefore, in order to maintain the fertility of the soil, we have to substitute fertilizers with organic manure or leave the field uncultivated fallow in between the two crops. The use of manure improves soil texture as well as its water retaining capacity. It replenishes the soil with nutrients. Okay, it gives the soil nutrients. Now, another method of replenishing the soil with nutrients is through crop rotation. This can be done by growing different crops alternately. Like one year the farmer will grow paddy, next year he will grow wheat, like this alternately. Earlier, farmers in northern India used to grow legumes as fodder in one season and wheat in the next season. This helped in the replenishment of the soil with nitrogen because in the leguminous plants have that ability to fix nitrogen in the soil, if you remember, right? Now, farmers are being encouraged to adopt this practice. In the previous classes, you have learned about rhizobium bacteria. So, these are present in the root nodules of leguminous plants. They fix atmospheric nitrogen. That is why the farmers used to sow legumes in one season and other crop in another season. Now, this is the difference between fertilizer and manure. Let's go through it. Fertilizer and manure. Now, fertilizer is a man-made inorganic salt. Manure is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of cattle dung and plant residues. Then, fertilizer is prepared in factories. Manure can be prepared in the fields. Fertilizer does not provide any humus to the soil. However, manure provides a lot of humus to the soil. Then, fertilizers are very rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Manure is relatively less rich in plant nutrients. Now, what is the advantage of manure? Adding manure. So, the organic manure is considered better than fertilizers. This is because it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. Okay, so it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. It also makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases become easy. Then it increases the number of friendly microbes. Then it improves the texture of the soil. Now the fourth step, irrigation. All living beings need water to live. Water is very important for proper growth and development. Water is absorbed by the plant roots. Along with water, minerals and fertilizers are also absorbed by the plant roots. Plants contain nearly 90% water. Water is essential because germination of seeds does not take place under dry conditions, right? Because and in the process of photosynthesis we need water, carbon dioxide, sunlight, right? Chlorophyll. In that process we need water. So water is essential for every life process. Okay. Now nutrients dissolved in water are transported to each part of the plant. Okay. Water also protects the crop from both frost and hot air currents because the moisture is maintained. So to maintain the moisture of the soil for healthy crop growth, right? Fields have to be watered regularly. To maintain the moisture of the soil for healthy crop growth, fields have to be watered regularly. The supply of water to crops at regular intervals is called irrigation. The time and frequency of irrigation varies from crop to crop, soil to soil, and season to season. Means some crop requires more water, some require less water, okay? And that also depends on soil to soil and then season to season. In summer season, the plants require more water than in winter season. In summer, the frequency of watering is higher, okay? That is the same thing which I just told you. Now, why is it so? Could it be due to the increased rate of evaporation of water from the soil and the leaves? Yes, exactly. Because in summers, in hot conditions, evaporation is more. So the plants get dried faster. Okay. Now Bhujo says, I am very careful this year about watering the plants. Last summer my plants dried up and died. Yeah, because he has not watered them properly. Now what are the sources of irrigation? The sources of irrigation are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams and canals. See this. Now these are traditional methods of irrigation. Moat. See, this is moat. Okay. Now the water available in wells, lakes and canals is lifted up by different methods in different regions for taking it to the field. Cattle or human labor is used in these methods. So these methods are cheaper but less efficient. Okay. So these are less efficient because they will take more time. Okay. And the various traditional ways are moat. Moat is pulley system. See here, from the well the water will be pulled up and then it will be supplied to the plants. Then chain pump. See here, you can see chain pump. Then dhekli and then rahat. Lever system. See, this is rahat. This is rahat. Okay. Now pumps are commonly used for lifting water. Diesel, biogas, electricity and solar energy is used to run these pumps. Okay. Now these are the traditional methods, these four methods which we have just seen. Now the modern methods of irrigation. Modern methods of irrigation help us to use water economically. Economically means wisely, properly. No wastage of water. The main methods used are as follows: sprinkler system. Now this system is more useful on the uneven land where sufficient water is not available. The perpendicular pipes having rotating nozzles on top are joined to the main pipeline at regular intervals. When water is allowed to flow through the main pipe under pressure with the help of a pump, it escapes from the rotating nozzles. It gets sprinkled on the crop as it is raining. Sprinkler is very useful for lawns, coffee plantation and several other crops. Because we just need to moisture the leaves. We just need to moisture them. We just don't want to flood them with water. Okay. You can see the sprinkler as well. This is the setup of the sprinkler. All these are the sprinklers. These are supplying water. Okay. Now drip system. In this system, the water falls drop by drop directly near the roots. So this is called a drip system. It is the best technique for watering fruit plants, gardens and trees. So you can see as well, this is drip system. Water is not wasted at all. It is a boon in regions where availability of water is poor. Now protection from weeds. This is the next step. Now Bhuja and Paheli went to a nearby wheat field and saw that there were some other plants in the field growing along with wheat plants. Bhuja says, have these other plants been planted purposely? Now in a field, many other undesirable plants may grow naturally along with the crop. These undesirable plants are called weeds. Okay, and these are to be removed time to time because otherwise they will also they will also consume the water and nutrients from the soil. And then the main crop will lack all these things because the water and nutrients are distributed among two plants. Okay, that is why the unwanted undesirable plant, the weed, has to be removed from time to time. Now the removal of weeds is called weeding. Weeding is necessary since weeds compete with the crop plants. See, weeds compete with the crop plants for water, nutrients, space and light. Thus they affect the growth of the crop. Some weeds interfere even in harvesting and may be poisonous for animals and human beings. And some weeds are also poisonous. So that is why they need to be removed from time to time. Now farmers adopt many ways to remove weeds and control their growth. Tilling before sowing of crops help in uprooting and killing of weeds, which may then dry up and get mixed with the soil. The best time for the removal of weeds is before they produce flowers and seeds. The manual removal includes physical removal of weeds by uprooting or cutting them close to the ground from time to time. This is done with the help of a khurpi. A seed drill is also used to uproot weeds. Now, weeds are also controlled by using certain chemicals called weedicides. Now, how you can control them? By using weedicides like 2,4-D. Now, these are sprayed in the fields to kill the weeds. They do not damage the crop. The weedicides are diluted with water to the extent required and sprayed in the fields with a sprayer. See, this farmer is spraying the weedicide and he is wearing a mask because the gas or maybe if a drop will fall on his mouth, that is poisonous. That is a medicine, right? A chemical. Now, do weedicides have any effect on the person handling the weedicide sprayer? Yes, that is why the person has to cover his nose and mouth. Now, as already mentioned, the weedicides are sprayed during the vegetative growth of weeds before flowering and seed formation. Spraying of weedicides may affect the health of farmers. So they should use these chemicals very carefully. They should cover their nose and mouth with a piece of cloth during spraying of these chemicals. The next step, harvesting. Now once the irrigation is done, once our crop is grown, everything is done, now the time comes for harvesting. Now the cutting of crop after it is mature is called harvesting. Okay. In harvesting, crops are pulled out or cut close to the ground. It usually takes 3 to 4 months for a cereal crop to mature. Harvesting in our country is either done manually by sickle, here you can see sickle, or by a machine called harvester. In the harvested crop, the grain seed needs to be separated from the chaff. This process is called threshing. This is carried out with the help of a machine called combine. which is in fact is a harvester as well as a thresher. Okay. See, this is combined, the photo of combined, figure 1.8. Now, Paheli says after harvesting, sometimes stubs are left in the field, which are burned by farmers. Paheli is worried. She knows that it causes pollution. It may also catch fire and damage the crops lying in the fields. You people might have heard about this, about these stubs, and in Hindi we called it parali, right? When these paralis are burnt, it causes so much of air pollution in Delhi, and due to which the schools are also sometimes shut down, and sometimes the children have to stay home and take online classes, and this is a very common practice, right? So farmers with small holdings of land do the separation of grain and chaff by winnowing. Okay, now this is a winnowing machine. Now harvest festivals. After 3 or 4 months of hard work, there comes the day of the harvest. The sight of golden fields of standing crop laden with grain fills the hearts of farmers with joy and a sense of well-being. The efforts of the past season have borne fruit, and it is time to relax and enjoy a little. The period of harvest is thus of great joy and happiness in all parts of India. Men and women celebrate it with great enthusiasm. Special festivals associated with the harvest season are Pongal, Baisakhi, Holi, Diwali, Nabanya and Bihu. Okay. Now the last step, storage. Now storage of produce is an important task. If storage will not be done at a properly or at a proper pace, right? So the rats, the rodents will eat the grains, and hence this will be a loss to the farmer and obviously the loss to the country as well. Now, if the harvested grains are to be kept for longer time, they should be safe from moisture, insects, rats, and microorganisms. Harvested grains have more moisture. If freshly harvested grain seeds are stored without drying, they may get spoiled or attacked by organisms, making them unfit for use or for germination. Hence, before storing them, the grains are properly dried in the sun to reduce the moisture in them. This prevents the attack of by insects, pests, bacteria, and fungi. Now, Paheli says, I saw my mother putting some dried neem leaves in an iron drum containing wheat. I wonder why. To avoid the attack from the insects and pests. Now, see, these are silos, big containers for storage of grains. Then here you can see storage of grains in gunny bags and granaries. The farmers store grains in jute bags or metallic bins. However, large-scale storage is done in silos and granaries to protect them from pests like rats and insects, as we have already seen. Now, dried neem leaves are used for storing food grains at home. For storing large quantities of grains in big godowns, specific chemical treatments are required to protect them from pests and microorganisms. At home, you don't have that much amount of grain, so neem leaves are sufficient to protect it from the attack of insects and microorganisms, etc. But in big for the storage of grains in big gunny bags and granaries, special chemical treatments are required to protect them from the pests and microorganisms. See, now you can do this table. Okay, this is very easy, you can do it by yourself. And after completing this table, you must have seen like the plants, animals also provide us with different kinds of food, right? Like milk is provided by so many animals, like okay. So you can complete this table, food from animals. Now, many people living in the coastal areas, in the sea areas, consume fish as a major part of their diet because you will get a lot of fish in the sea. So that is easily available and at a low cost. So most people eat fish there. Now, we have just seen that the process of crop production involves a number of steps like selection of seeds, sowing, etc. Similarly, animals reared at home or in farms had to be provided with proper food, shelter, and care. Now, when this is done on a large scale, it is called animal husbandry. Now, when crops were involved, we call it agriculture. When animals are involved, we call it animal husbandry. Okay. Now, fish is good for health. We get cod liver oil in fish, which is rich in vitamin D. So, here we come to the end of this chapter. Let's read this, what you have learned. Now, in order to provide food to a growing population, we need to adopt certain agricultural practices. Same kinds of plants cultivated at a place constitute a crop. In India, crops can be broadly categorized into two types based on seasons, the Rabi and the Kharif crop, right? If you remember, Rabi was the winter crop and Kharif was the summer crop. Then it is necessary to prepare soil by tilling and leveling. Plows and levelers are used for this purpose. Then sowing of seeds at appropriate depths and distances gives good yield. Good variety of seeds are sown after selection of healthy seeds. Sowing is done by using seed drills, tractor-driven seed drills. Soil needs replenishment and enrichment through the use of organic manure and fertilizers. Use of chemical fertilizers has increased tremendously with the introduction of new crop varieties. Then, supply of water to crops at appropriate intervals is called irrigation. Then weeding. Weeding involves removal of unwanted and uncultivated plants called weeds. Harvesting is the cutting of the mature crop manually or by machines. Separation of grains from the chaff is called threshing. Proper storage of grain is necessary to protect them from pests and microorganisms. Food is also obtained from animals for which animals are reared. This is called animal husbandry. Now the chapter is complete and I will post this exercise in the next video. Thank you.